Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for joining. We're gonna wait. It's 35 people signed up. We're gonna wait for more people to join. So just give them some time, please.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. We have quite of an agenda today. Super excited to see the latest proposal from NEAR Foundation, but we'll get much more into detail on that. Quick notice to everyone, this call is being recorded, and we will also be doing a recap of the call afterwards, and the call will be posted for public viewing afterwards. So if anyone feels uncomfortable with this, you have the opportunity to opt out now. Today, I'll just briefly walk you through the agenda, and then we'll get straight to it as we have quite a packed agenda. So we have a special guest today. NEARWEEK will be joining, and I'll let her to introduce herself in a bit. Then we'll have the NEAR Validator delegation program proposal. This will be presented by David Norris from NEAR Foundation. Then we have verified staking provider program by Staking Rewards, who will be joining us as well. And the team from Staking Rewards will be providing details on their verified staking provider program. And at the end of the call, we will have a small surprise presented by no one else but yours truly, Dennis Stardust. So before we kick off, I saw NEARWEEK just joined. I'll give you the mic in a sec, NEARWEEK. Just want to let you know that after each person has presented their part, we'll do a small session of questions if there are any. So instead of waiting till the very end, we'll do like a 5-minute session after each presenter has presented with questions. So if you have any questions at the end of the presentation, please raise your hand and we'll make sure to walk the rounds. From here, NEARWEEK, I'm happy to have you on the call. Please take it away. We're so delighted to see you today.
Great, thank you so much. Really good to be here and to see all of you guys. There's so much firework on the screen. Well, look, it's going to be a short intro, but the main point actually of my intro is just to say thank you, because I think you guys are a very important core key parts of the ecosystem, and actually a part that for lack of time and focus we haven't necessarily dedicated the amount of love and support that we need to give to. And so I want to say thank you for what you do. Thank you for your feedback, which we've taken into account into the proposal that we're actually writing and putting forward. And so yeah, that's mostly on that. I don't know if the bonus surprise is something I should already talk about, but anyway, I look forward to seeing you at NEARCon, and we'd love to actually have you as guests at NEARCon and invite you. So I guess if that was supposed to be the surprise, then you have it before the end of it. But with that, I'll hand over to David from NEAR Foundation, and yeah, just that. Thank you for everything you do and for your feedback and your comments, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much, NEARWEEK. So I think taking a look over the universe of NEAR staking, there's a lot to be positive about at the moment. So validators have increased to 214. 608 million NEAR is currently staked, so almost 65% of total supply. Seat price has fallen to 26,000. That continues to fall as more validators join and more get staked. Metapool and Linear have done a great job with Stake Wars, and they're continuing to take on the feedback from the ecosystem and all you guys around actually how can it be more dynamic, how can it be faster. And I'm speaking with both teams regularly around actually how can we put that into practice. However, there's still many challenges that are facing us as an overall network. So the Nakamoto coefficient is still low at 9. That's partly driven by a lack of choice at custody providers. So we end up with holders with large balances only being able to delegate to one stake, and that's something to one node, which is something that we need to break up. This is improving slightly. I think we were at 7 just a couple of months ago. We really need to get to a target where this moves closer towards 20 and continues to break up those silos, especially as we're seeing the larger concentration seems to be, the more people pile on top of it. So that's something that's very front of mind. Decentralization in terms of hosting location, in terms of server location, again, is something that can be improved. We've also seen that I've read through every single post on Telegram, seen a lot of the comments through on Reddit and Discord, and it's been really interesting to read through and to get to understand the challenges that you're currently going through during the bear market. I understand that this really puts pressure on profitability. I've seen that there's also with the dynamic delegations that they can take too long, so having to wait several epochs to be able to receive your change in delegation. And then also seeing that there's a real lack of transparency around how the foundation has historically gone through delegations, and really want to be able to put something to address that. So this isn't just my work, right, and other people in the foundation. We've been really well supported by people across the ecosystem. So your feedback, working closely with Linear, with Metapool, with Proximity. Ilya's read the paper in advance of this. Marique's given some great feedback. There's been people that have really got stuck into this, and people see this as a problem that we need to address. It's a multivariate problem, and something that we need to continually evolve and continually get feedback, and that can only happen if you provide it and are completely honest around actually what's painful and how we can support each other to really secure the network in the best way. So what I've done is I've put forward the proposal. It's live if you haven't seen it. There's the optionality to be able to provide feedback. The feedback, all of it will be taken on board. I think there's a link, we're about to see it down the bottom, which will take you through to the Validators page. There's been one piece of feedback so far, which is the element around self-stake is exclusionary, which I will absolutely take on board, and we'll discuss, and we'll try to find a way that works current market conditions and what works as the ecosystem evolves. So this is living and breathing, and it will adapt over time to make sure that we have the best outcomes across the whole ecosystem for all of us. The proposal principally sits around 3 main tracks. First of all, the community validators, so making sure that stake wars can continue, making sure that there is support for community validators. Second track around the fact that, especially at custody providers, not having enough choice, making sure that there are institutional grade validators that are SOC 1, SOC 2 compliant. That would mean that they fit the criteria for institutional holders, or some of the backers within the ecosystem will actually put their stakes with them. And then the third track is around the 100% fee delegations that are made by the foundation. There's been, from what I've read, a lot of questions around why 100% fee delegators, how do they operate, who's selected? The proposal hopefully brings some clarity that the intention is for these delegations to be made to encourage customer acquisition, user acquisition, and user retention programs that results in more transactions as an outcome, which leads to more gas fee being burnt. So it really plays into the tokenomics of the whole ecosystem. If you've got any questions on any of it, you've got my name here, so I'm sure you can get my email address as well. So david.norris@near.foundation, very willing to speak to anyone directly. If you want to post it on the channel, then go for it, and I'll respond there. But really looking forward to working with you to see how we can support you further and make sure we build something that's really impactful. Dennis, over to you. Is that Q&A now?
Yeah, I think we're gonna just take if we have any questions. So thank you very much for the presentation, Marie and David. Looking much forward to getting this going. I see Jeff Haferman, you've raised your hand. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so we run we're fairly far down on the validator list in terms of the seat we hold. We got our seat because we received a stake from Linear. We were one of the winners of the last stake war. So my question is basically, I think that stake was guaranteed for a year. So we'd like to keep validating, but without that stake, we're not going to be able to do so. So what's going to happen there? That's basically it. And I think from chat on Discord, I think a lot of other groups that participated in the stake war have the same concern.
So what will happen at the end of the stake wars program is the question, or what would happen if it gets pulled away?
That's right.
Yeah, so the intention will be to have a evolution of the stake wars program, and that's part of the proposal. I understand that the dynamic allocations and pullbacks usually take place if there's been significant downtime. So quality remains the focus of how Metapool and Linear go about their delegations. So really, I think to be able to maintain the stake, or the delegation, it's going to be about keeping that quality high. But there will always be a form of support that comes through these programs until, with plenty of time, would be advised that it wouldn't be happening. But there is going to be no short-term intention to take away any form of support.
Okay, great. That answers my question. And yeah, we've been performing well, just to toot our own horn. But yeah, we want to just see that stake continue to remain there. We're trying to get others to stake for us, but what we got from Linear is keeping us in the game. So
yeah, and the piece that I think we need to keep diving into is transparency around why decisions are taken. So seeing within the group every day, there seems to be a question of why has my delegation been removed. So that's a real piece that we need to make sure continues to improve over time.
Any other questions? Dennis, Stardust?
Yeah,
Dennis, please
actually,
move forward.
I just want to add that I think I've been doing a lot of testing on chunk producing in general, and with the performance testing, etc. And currently, it's really complicated to measure the way we measure the performance, because the smallest pools, who are only chunk producers, are only assigned 10 to 15 chunks per epoch. And if out of the blue they miss one chunk, not because they have a bad hardware or a lower spec hardware, it's just because it happens. We don't know yet why and how. They may lose their sit for the next 2 epochs, and therefore be considered as a bad block chunk producers and can be unstake. It's not their fault. So I think that also need to be taken into account. We need to work on how better measure the chunk producers who are at the bottom of the list with a low stake, because this currently is a big problem. 2 chunks missed and you less than 80%, and you will be kicked for the next 2 epochs. I've been testing on different hardware, starting from kind of VPS, lower VPSs, and end up in 96 core epics. And to be honest, even with 96 core epic, I still managed to miss 1 chunk. So it's not just scale up your hardware and you will be grand. No, it's not. It's basically we need to come to the bottom of it sooner or later. But meanwhile, we need to do something about that in regards to delegation and punishing these validators. I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, the good thing is, Dennis, we're speaking pretty much every day at the moment, so let's make sure we keep that one high on mind as we're going through.
Thank you very much for your input, Dennis. See, Kiske,
Yeah.
was it the same question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I wanted to add to the Dennis question about like chunk only producers. The problem is that I totally agree that we need to add some additional measures for like low rank chunk producers, because we have really cool hardware and we have still the same problem. We skip one chunk, for example, it's 90%. And for example, our delegator from Stake Wars is mutable, and so we have delegation like 40K for the year, and we already was unstaked like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times we was unstaked because of this issue. Hopefully we have our own stake from like our communities. It's prevents us from kicking out of the list, but I think I don't know. I'm really waiting for some actions from Stake Wars moderators or admins. I don't know, because it's really hard to work in these conditions when every time we have unstake from our winner's prize, and then we need to write to support again and again to restore our stake in delegations. Yeah.
And this is a chunk only issue rather than block producer, right? So just purely for one chunk challenge that Dennis was articulating.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so. It's more about like the prizes from Stake Wars than the missing chunks, because yeah, Metapool says that okay, we undelegate you because you had like low performance. Low performance is 94%. 94% is one chunk missed, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, everything connected, of course, but also it's the problem on the delegation system right now. I don't know. I think Stake Wars should elaborate with Metapool more on this thing, because we have like different nodes who already went out from NEAR because of this, because they just was undelegated like several times, and they just tired of writing these messages to return their stake, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. I've got it written down. If it is possible to also put it on the proposal, that would be really helpful, because then it's formalized and people can pile on. If it's also an issue that they're facing as well, we should be able to see some good upvotes around that.
You comments or how?
Yeah. Peter, is it okay just to send the link to the validator?
Yeah, I already sent the docs here. I can share it again. And then if you just open for comments, then people can go and comment in the doc. Is this the correct one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we encourage everyone to go put their feedback. Please make it as descriptive and concise as possible, so David has a chance of reading it and understanding it. Obviously, he will reach out to all of you, but it can become a long process, right? So
yeah, and then here on bots, then everyone can see it publicly.
Yeah, would be great as well.
Yeah.
Mario, you raised your hand.
Yeah, hi there, everyone. No, I just wanted to mention that I don't understand why chunk-only producers we are receiving so little chunks, because I think that chunk-only producers are being underused. That is, most of us have enough hardware to produce much more chunks than that, and that's part of the problem that everyone here has been commenting before. Because if you lose one chunk and you just receive 30, then you will have a very low uptime. But if you have received 120 chunks, one chunk will mean nothing. So I think that quite a big improvement for the protocol would be just to send more chunks to all chunk-only producers, because if you see how many chunks a chunk-only producer is producing and how many chunks a block producer is producing, this has been put on the table by Dennis on the Validator group talk about the amount that chunk-only producers is very small to the amount of chunks that any block just one block producer is producing. So we are not very useful for the chain after all. That's what I think. We can produce quite much more chunks, and that will solve a big part of the problem. And these have two aspects. On one side, we are giving little chunks, so we are not being used in our full capabilities. And on the other side, we have the problem of low uptime because of that, because we are receiving very low chunks, very little chunks number. Okay, so I think that increasing the chunks that a chunk-only producer will receive will solve both problems. Okay, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Mario. And Paul, please unmute.
Yeah, hi everybody. I just wanted to quickly sort of put our thoughts into the comments that Dave and actually Mario have been saying as well. Dennis and Mario's been saying as well. So we run 3 production pools, ranging from a low-down chunk producer all the way to several millions of dollars. And we use identical hardware for all of those nodes. And one of the things that I see is, I think, a common question and a common frustration for us is that you miss a chunk, but you have no idea why. You know, was it some sort of tail IO latency in the storage subsystem? Was it that you had a problem with a pair? Was it something to do with the processor not doing something quick enough at that moment in time? And so it's, I mean, maybe there are folk that know, and if there are, it would be good to sort of, I think, surface this information to the community. But you know, how do you determine why? And if you can't at the moment, I think that is some useful tooling or instrumentation that could be added, because I think that would help a lot. And then also to Mario's point, I think when chunk producer was all talked about, there was this narrative around lower spec hardware enabling sort of democratizing and decentralizing validation because you could run on lower hardware. But because of the issues that have been raised here, the reality is it doesn't work like that, because at any moment in time, you need to be performant enough to perform your duty within that second or whatever it is. And so what you end up having is just a very high performance system sat there 99.9% of the time doing nothing. And that's quite wasteful. So I think there might be also, to Mario's point, about broader questions around what we're trying to achieve with chunk only, and then what determines a good performant chunk only producer, and what does that mean for both hardware requirements and then also rewards in terms of that would be given to that node.
Paul, that's brilliant feedback. Thank you. And in kind of combination with everyone else's as well, it feels like to me that we should look to explore something around different tracks for chunk only versus block producer. And I'll take that away with kind of linear, Metapool, Dennis, to kind of explore into further. It's really good feedback. There's a massive piece around transparency. There's a massive piece around volume coming through, and there's a big piece around how you get penalized. So yeah, it feels like something to dive into more. Thank you. This is the whole purpose of this call, by the way. So thank you for the feedback.
Dennis?
Yeah, I just want to add that I mentioned this in the chat already, that I think the best thing to do is to start a topic at NEARWEEK at the Validator community group and try to include someone from core team, preferably, starting from Bowen, and maybe someone else will join to actually advise us on the technology. Is the amount of chunks attached to a particular chunk producer is a hard-coded value, or is it something specifically chosen? We don't know that. Well, I don't know that. Maybe somebody does. So we need someone from the team to actually explain this to us first, and then we can actually take it from there. But for now, without this information, we're trying to see if different hardware possibly matters, like Intel versus AMD processors. I so far learned that the AMD is actually running better than Intel's, but this is just an assumption. There's somebody mentioned Ubuntu 20.02 is actually performing better than Ubuntu 22.04. Sorry, Ubuntu 20.04 is better than Ubuntu 22.04. So all those things is really hard to test because it takes like about 2 weeks to actually run a test on a single piece of hardware. Then you have to move. And because I'm testing it on my validator to be able to see the good picture because it has 2 million years staked. If I start like a junk producer, it's really hard to test. So I still sacrificing our validator for this kind of testing. But so far I've been doing like around 3 weeks, and I haven't got solid results to understand what actually causing chunks to be missed. Still work in progress. Hopefully by NEARWEEK I have a better statistics to at the NEARWEEK.
Thank you very much for that, Dennis. And thank you so much, David. We'll do our best also to give you a full recap of everything that's just been said and send it to you afterwards so you have some actionable items. Really want to say thank you for everyone for joining this conversation and giving questions to David. As outlined previously, this is what we're here for. And it's great to see so many people actively participating. Please keep doing that. And please leave your comments on the document, and please start participating on DevUp as well in the Validator community. We will be sending out a message shortly after the call where we outline the different places that you can provide feedback on in the Validator call group. David?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Peter. And like more than anything else, just thank you to all of you for giving me the platform to speak to you all today and gather the feedback. Kirsty, I hear you. I see that you've raised the topic multiple times. Hopefully you can hold me to account on I'm actively trying to do something about this and doing it in collaboration with a lot of people across the ecosystem. So hopefully we can actually make this happen. On the community validator track, there's Stake Wars isn't actually finishing for a little while yet. So we've actually got time to really put some big thought into this and to come up with a proposal that really works for all participants. We need to align incentives on it, and I think we're moving towards that. Your feedback today is new to me in some regards and well read in others. So yeah, I think we've taken some of them considerations, but not all into account. And I'm definitely going to be pushing down on the chunk only route to see what can be done there. But just to reiterate NEARWEEK's message earlier, a big thank you from everyone for your continued support. I know it's a tough environment out there. And so we'd love to extend that offer of a free ticket for NEARCon. And then Dennis will be helping us to get that free ticket out to each of you in due course. So yeah, thank you for your continued support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Oh, sorry, David. David and Dennis. So next speaker up, we have Mirko from Staking Rewards. Mirko, please unmute yourself and enter the stage.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having the platform here. I think Kilian from our team is also here. He can probably share his screen.
Yeah, I don't have sharing rights. Can you guys give me sharing rights?
1 second. Kodam, can you give Kilian sharing rights? Let me just see if I can do it.
Yeah, I just did.
Cool, thank you. It still says I can't share my screen though. I think maybe can you stop sharing and then maybe let's try that. There we go. Yeah. Perfect. All right. Cool. Just let me know when you guys can see my screen.
We see it. Thank you.
Cool. Sweet. Cool, guys. Yeah, so we're from stakingrewards.com. I'm sure you might have seen us before. Yeah, so thanks so much to Dennis for just giving us the opportunity to speak to some of you guys and just give you an idea of what we do. So we cover roughly 80 proof of stake chains on our site. And the main aim for us is to provide information for users, right, to make decisions around staking. So, I mean, you can go onto our site, stakingrewards.com, and go onto any of these pages. But obviously for you guys, it would be to stake NEAR, and for your community and obviously you guys as validators. So typically, just to give a bit of background, we have around 150,000 users on the site a month. And the general user journey would be, come onto the site, figure out what you can earn for NEAR, what's the adjusted reward rate, look at some other statistics, play around with the NEAR calculator, just if you think the staking ratio is going to change, see how your reward is going to change according to that. And then from there, typically users would make a decision and, be guided in the user flow to look at validators and to compare them and to make an informed decision. So that's really what we want to chat to you guys about today, is something we developed called the Verified Staking Provider Program. And Mirko, I don't know if you want to maybe take it from here and give some backdrop and insight to it.
Awesome. Yeah, so for the VSP, Verified Staking Provider Program, we are basically doing due diligence on all sorts of staking providers in the industry, mainly for like non-custodial staking when there's some sort of delegation, which is the case in NEAR, obviously. And then the biggest problem that we see from our users, like we have a large user base of stakers and everyone, is really hard to choose like which staking provider to go with. And then the problem is we see most people, they either go with like the biggest one or they go with like the ones that they know. But it's really challenging for someone to do like due diligence on like 20 different staking providers, where most delegators just want to stake with one person or like one staking provider, and don't like redelegate all the time or monitor and so on, and be kind of sure that their stake is in good hands, and they keep earning rewards and so on. So we want to increase the confidence for delegators by doing due diligence on staking providers. So we developed the program to do like a due diligence check based on like business operations, reliability, security setup, and everything. And in that sense, just give users the confidence to stake with like smaller staking providers and with other staking providers in general. Where we, as like an independent party in the industry, like we don't run any validators ourselves, have done our due diligence, and the users can be sure, like, okay, those people are still going to be around in the next like years, and it's a safe delegation to make, kind of. And yeah, in that sense, we are also basically establishing the verified staking provider as a standard in the industry. We've already integrated into many block explorers and like validator lists and so on, and would also love to work closer with like NEAR here on this side and kind of see like, yeah, what you guys are looking for. Maybe we could also like do adjustments to the due diligence process that is specific to NEAR. So we'd be very happy to look into this, and also welcome all the staking providers and validators from NEAR to also become part of the program. There's like, we have like an AUM-based pricing for this, because there's some cost attached to it, obviously, but it is for free. We have an incubation program as well for everyone until, I believe, like 3 million AUM. So we also want to give a chance for everyone, like, yeah, we know it's rough and not everyone is profitable, but we want to especially also increase confidence for users to stake with smaller staking providers, and give them a chance, like beyond just like, yeah, building a website and showcasing the brand and so on, to also show, hey, like an independent party, Staking Rewards, verified our services. We are adhering to best practices of the industry. And this is kind of a trust stamp and a confidence boost for all sorts of delegators. And yeah, super happy to address any questions or anything else. Any feedback from the community would be amazing.
Please go forward, Will.
Yeah, I think this all makes a lot of sense in terms of trying to establish trust with a variety of different participants in these networks. I think one thing that comes to mind for me with it is potentially how we can use the technology itself to make this process into its own kind of open protocol or open set of standards that disintermediate, I guess, the centralized entity that is Staking Rewards right now from being the ones that run all of this stuff. If instead the things that you're looking for and assessing could themselves somehow be an open standard so that everyone can work towards adherence in an open and transparent way. That would be a really interesting way to approach it in the long term.
Yeah. So what we do right now is basically when a staking provider goes through the process, we give them a report, like an assessment report, to kind of give feedback. Okay, where do they stand? And this is all actually, I think most of it is in our documentation as well, how we do these checks and what we look at and so on. I don't think like the full questionnaire and everything is public right now. But I mean, it would be interesting to look into, what should we make public, and then also get more like direct feedback for it.
Yeah, I think also just to add there, like, I think we realized, a lot of stakers would just go for one, like a validator that has cool marketing. And, that's not really a good decision to make. So while we give them the on-chain metrics on our site, there's some stuff that they'll never have insight into, like, do they actually have a proper team? Are they even a registered company? Are they doing this as a side hustle? Or is this actually long-term, like, is it a business? Are they invested in the ecosystem? Are they providing value? All of those sort of things get accounted for in the check. So, we're trying to help delegators make that decision and do the research where they could not, and where they might not have the time to go to that level of detail.
Dennis?
Thank you very much, guys, for presenting this nice opportunity for smaller validators. Really appreciate it. And I know I've been trying to use. I've seen your forum to become a verified staking provider, and it's pretty comprehensive and very long. Would you offer like something shorter for like smaller validators? Because most of them would not probably be in corporations or registered companies, but rather individuals, so that also not just make it free, but also simplify the process to become like verified producer.
So we have like a basic presence on our website. That's like everyone can just claim their profile and get all the information on the profile. And then we maintain this as well and so on. But obviously, like when we do the verification, which also comes with like the network and like a few other perks and everything, then I think we would like to keep it to a process that is rather like comprehensive in that sense, to be really sure like, hey, okay, like these guys are really in it for the long term. And then when we show these staking providers on the website, our users can be sure, hey, like there's really like there's a standard to them. If I delegate with them, I can be kind of sure that they still will be around in like 2 years and not go like, that their operations don't go down, or like they pivot from the business or something, which is something we've seen a lot, that delegators just choose a staking providers, and the stake is pretty sticky as well. And then they end up losing rewards with like no communication from the providers or something like this. So we would just like to raise the standards there a little bit and give more, like provide a better user experience for the delegators in general, which should help to increase staking participation and obviously like network security in the end as well. I think there was a question for the evaluation process. So the evaluation process, basically, we do like we sign an agreement with the staking provider, and then we sign an NDA as well, because there's often some information that these staking providers or validators don't want to provide publicly as well. So we also kind of guarantee that we don't share this information publicly if they don't want to. And then we send out the questionnaire with all of the questions. I think, Dennis, you also like had the questionnaire. Maybe you could say from the validator experience as well on that side.
Yeah, actually, it's not a question. It's a message to all the validators. I recall there has been a lot of questions in the validator chats after Stake Wars 2 and 3 that it was suggested that the foundation delegation is only for a short while, and the validators should preserve delegate themselves and start organically acquiring delegates. I think this is a best chance for them to be presented on something better than just, you know, a small website of their own, and an opportunity for them to get these delegators. If I think you provide it for free for smaller validators, it's a good chance to get started and get organic delegators.
Any more questions for Kilian and Mirko? No. I want to say thank you so much, Kilian and Mirko, for coming on today. It was super helpful. We'll make sure to circulate your contact information in various groups. So please, everyone, if you have any questions or want to chat with Kilian and Mirko, feel free to reach out to them. This brings us to the last point of the agenda. Marika made a tiny spoiler, but Dennis, you will walk us through what the small surprise is in a few months. Take it away.
Oh, thank you very much. And thanks very much, Marika, for presenting this nice surprise, which is a NEARWEEK ticket for every validator. And this small bonus is actually a continue for that surprise. Is we're gonna host a validator meetup at the NEARWEEK. So every validator is welcome to join. Details will be provided shortly, not today, I mean coming weeks. And it's gonna be really interesting. We're gonna try to invite new foundation, David, hopefully people from core team, Bowen maybe, and I think we're going to be a great opportunity to sit down and actually discuss validators, issues, matters, how we can improve that current validator community group, how we can make it better. Maybe somebody wants to take involvement in the group. That will be the chance, and chance to meet everyone.
Thank you very much, Dennis. And once we make the announcement public, I encourage everyone to put questions forward. That way that can help shape the agenda. So we're thinking of having small presentations from the NEAR Foundation, small presentation from Pagoda, and a small presentation from Dennis. And it would be great if they were able to actually answer some of these questions in good time. And also it would be great to get the feedback from the community so you can actively help shape the conversation, because that is what this is all about, increasing inclusiveness, transparency, and feedback loops so we can together improve the validators ecosystem and system in general on the NEAR protocol. Did we miss anything, Dennis, or are we at the end?
Yeah.
Any closing remarks from you?
I think we're at the end, and we had the Q&A session for anything else not related to previously discussed. So if anyone wants to discuss anything, please raise your hand and go on, ask the question. Probably not. So meaning that we had a lot today. Everybody already happy. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. We're so happy to see everyone. Thank you for all the hard work you put in every day. Thank you, Marique. Thank you, David. Thank you, Staking Rewards, and thank you, Dennis. We'll see you next month, and we look forward to continuing this conversation. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.